What's up and welcome. This is me, you, and Switch 2. I'm me, Tom Tate, and you are you. So let's talk about Switch 2. This is the latest and greatest Nintendo Switch 2 news brought to you every Tuesday and Friday in snackable 10-minute episodes. Today happens to be Friday, January 30th. It is 7:51 a.m. on the East Coast. It is 7 degrees Fahrenheit. It is very cold. I hope that you had a great week. If you are new to the show, welcome. I appreciate it. If you are coming back to the show after repeated listens, I appreciate that as well. Yesterday, there was a Tomodachi Life Living the Dream Direct. It was about 22 minutes long. I actually didn't watch this one, but my son did. He said it was interesting. I'm going to check it out this weekend. This is technically a Switch 1 game, so I'm not going to cover the whole Direct on this podcast. I try to stick to just the Switch 2 exclusives, but I saw some blowback that there will be image sharing restrictions. So if your Mii characters end up in some compromising positions, you won't be able to share images that are out of context. So it'll be really difficult to get those images off of your console and onto your phone where you could post them on social media. This is actually interesting. It's the perfect lead-in to the main story here. So Dispatch hit the Nintendo eShop for $29.99 on Wednesday. And the big news is that it's been censored. So the Nintendo Switch 2 version of the game does not have the same mature content that can be found on the PS5 version and the Steam version, which are identical. So if you're not familiar, this is described by the developer, Ad Hoc Studios, as a superhero workplace comedy. It's very much kind of a visual narrative. It's like watching a good graphic novel or a comic book unfold, come to life. It allows you to make some key decisions in the story that will impact the direction of the narrative. If you've ever played a Telltale game like the Walking Dead, early Walking Dead games, and they did Back to the Future, they did so many different consoles. They did, I think, Sam & Max, The Wolf Among Us. I actually think it is ex-Telltale employees that went on to form Ad Hoc. Well, it plays similar to that. There's some in-game mechanics that weave the story together. There's like a hacking mini game. There's a game mechanic where you have to dispatch specific superheroes to crime scenes and community events. That's kind of where it gets its name. I love this game. This was my game of the year. I talked about this on the podcast before. I played it on Steam Deck when it first released. It was released every week. There was 2 new episodes, so it kind of played out like watching your favorite show. I was super stoked to see that this was going to release on Switch 2, and I'm just very confused by this decision. The Kit and Krista podcast, they put out a full episode discussing this one. If you want to check out their commentary, in the PS5 and PC versions, there's a toggle to censor or tone down the adult content. And in my mind, this served a few purposes. One, it gave gamers the option to tone down the content if they found it offensive for any reason. They wanted to experience the game, but they didn't want the kind of sexual content. But maybe more importantly, too, it allowed gamers to stream Dispatch on Twitch and other platforms with a version that was more appropriate for the streams. So here's a quote from the studio. They said, different platforms have different content criteria and submissions are evaluated individually. They said this to Eurogamer. They said, we worked with Nintendo to ensure the content within the title met the criteria to release on their platforms, but the core narrative and gameplay experience remains identical to the original release. So before each episode of this podcast, I go to Nintendo's eShop on Nintendo.com, not on the Switch eShop on the console, but Nintendo.com, and I sort by release date and filter by platform. And this game wasn't even in Switch 2's default view. So to find Dispatch, I had to directly search for Dispatch, and there it was. So not only was this game being censored, the content, but it's not even visible, or at least it wasn't visible yesterday to the average person browsing for new games, which is so strange to me. This was the big story this week. Jim Norman of Nintendo Life, he did give this a 9 out of 10, great review. The pros that he listed were, and I'll just read these verbatim, a cracking storyline that'll keep you coming back for more. Characters pack a surprising depth, a cast packed with VO royalty, beautifully animated. The dispatch and hacking minigames nicely break up the flow. Enough dialogue options that you'll want to see it through again. And the cons, Lack of gameplay won't be for everyone. Removed visual censorship settings and minigame controls are a bit fiddly. Mouse mode feels like a no-brainer. So it is a great game, and if you don't have a Steam Deck or you don't have a PS5, then if you want to experience this game, even censored, it's probably still very enjoyable. It's just very strange. I'm curious what Nintendo is up to here. Other games that released this week. First, we have Core Keeper that came out on the 28th for $11.99. We have Card and Seal that came out on the 29th for $29.99. Run for Money, Hunter vs. Runner. Which side will you win with? Never heard of this before. $29.99 came out yesterday. Based on a Japanese game show. Grid Legends Deluxe Edition, that's a racing game. That is $39.99. That came out yesterday as well, too. Digital Foundry did a tech review. I linked to that in the show notes of this episode if you want to check that out. Also, earlier this week, Virtual Boy's lineup was announced through a quick video that Nintendo released. This was already a surprising reveal last year when we learned about this, along with the reveal that a replica of the hardware and a cardboard alternative would be available for sale. Both of those are sold out, but there's a note that more supply will be available when the Virtual Boy lineup launches on February 17th. So what will we get? Tele Roboxer, Galactic Pinball, Red Alarm, Golf, Virtual Boy Wario Land, 3D Tennis, and the Mansion of Innsmouth. And then later this year, we're supposed to receive Mario Clash, Mario Tennis, Jack Bros, Space Invaders, Virtual Collection, Virtual Bowling, Virtual Force, and V Tetris. Along with, this is really interesting, 2 canceled games, Zero Racers and D-Hopper. So these games were never released, and Nintendo's going through the motion of releasing these games for this old hardware that people didn't necessarily love. But this is crazy. The Virtual Boy experience will also feature the ability to change colors. So if you didn't like the red pixel view, the red line view, you can change it. I think green and black and white was an option. I think I read that this won't work with the cardboard variant of the shell. You have to have the big kind of classic replica to change the colors. I'm not so sure if that's true. And then similar to the other Nintendo classics, save states and rewind will be available as well too. I keep kind of tracking how this progresses. I personally have not pre-ordered anything Virtual Boy related yet. I played it once in a Toys R Us a long time ago, and I think I walked away feeling like I did that and I never had to do that again. But there are some games here that I'm always interested in playing and I never have, like the Wario Land game is supposed to be really great. So maybe I'll pick this up at some point. To wrap things up, here are some quick headlines. Keeping with the Nintendo classics, it looks like we might see Pikimin 2 and Metroid Prime 2 based on a potential leak from Walmart. So Walmart.com had an image that showed the expansion pack library, which clearly showed these 2 titles, but they rescinded it. Nintendo said they're not currently planned for release. WWE 2K26 is likely coming to Switch 2 with a release date of March 13th. The Disney Afternoon Collection has been confirmed. We talked about this earlier this month. It was rumored after the title, which has long been released on other platforms, but never Nintendo. It received a parental rating, so we thought it was coming to the shop. It'll include DuckTales, DuckTales 2, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, Chip 'n Dale 2, Darkwing Duck, and Tailspin. But now it also includes, this is new, 2 Super Nintendo games, Goof Troop and Bonkers. The digital release date is February 26th, and it will receive a physical edition for $34.99 on May 29th. It'll include cards and stickers and extras and things like that. Pretty awesome to see this released. I'm excited that they decided to add some new games to it. Goof Troop was a blast. I remember renting that game at West Coast Video, and I actually emulated Bonkers last year, and I played through that. Not bad at all. So this will be fun to revisit. Scott Pilgrim EX is coming on March 3rd. This is from Tribute Games, who also did Shredder's Revenge and Marvel Cosmic Invasion. Looks great. The trailer and article is in the show notes if you're looking for a new retro-style beat-em-up. And then finally, I caught an article that shared a rumor that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will be out later this summer. First time I heard a release date rumor for Rebirth, which is the sequel to Remake, which just came out. I read the article on Nintendo Insider, but the rumor was attributed to the Gamer website. So the Gamer had said that the current plan is for Rebirth to release on Switch 2 at some point, and they were able to confirm the current plan with multiple sources. They didn't say who the sources were. This is just a rumor at this time. I'm on Chapter 5 of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it's playing great on Switch 2. So to be able to jump right into Rebirth later again this year would be phenomenal. All right, that's it for today. I hope that you have an amazing weekend. I want to thank you, as always, for your time and your attention. It means a ton. If you don't like the show, tell me. If you do like the show, tell everyone. I really appreciate, a kind rating or review. It really helps the podcast continue to grow. Sharing with a friend, family member, Discord server, subreddit, or wherever Gamers Hangout goes even further. Rite of passage as a content creator, as a podcaster, I received my first 1-star review on Apple Podcasts. I'm not even mad about this. I'm delighted. This makes me feel good because it means that people are listening and they care enough to take that action. However, there was no commentary. There was no comment. It was just a rating. So I don't know what this individual didn't like, and I don't know what to improve. And I'm always looking for ways to improve the show. If you've been listening, you know this is an ad-free show. This is a Patreon-free show. This is no fluff, no nonsense. I love Nintendo. I love delivering the news, and I'm eager to just make this the best listening experience for you. So if you don't like the show, feel free to let me know why you don't like the show. Happy to improve it. And if it's not for you, it's just not for you. And that's cool too. You can find me on Blue Sky at Switch2Pod. That's Switch with the number 2 pod. That's where the best place to reach me. Let me know how you're feeling. Switch2pod.com for all the things. I hope they have an amazing weekend. Much love. Now go play some games.